What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Layne's Man Cave. In today's video, I'm going to predict the entire 2026 NFL season. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, as it is very much appreciated, and it helps get this video out to more viewers just like you. We are going to start this video predicting the AFC East standings. In last place, the Miami Dolphins. Where do I begin? The Dolphins finally moved on from Tua Tagovailoa, but they will also enter the season without Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they replaced Mike McDaniel with former Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, a hiring I believe will be a downgrade in the long run. Malik Willis showed some flashes in Green Bay, but the Dolphins set him up for failure. They may have the worst receiving room in the NFL, consisting of Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, Malik Washington, and tight end Greg Dulcich. Outside of Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer, the offensive line is bad. Second-year guard Jonas Savanea was one of the worst starting guards last year, and while Caden Proctor has a good ceiling, he is a developmental piece and never played a snap at guard at the college level. Devon Achane will have to carry this offense, but for his sake, I really hope he requests a trade. Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson are a good linebacker duo, but a pass rush unit led by Chop Robinson and a secondary led by rookie Chris Johnson is a recipe for disaster. This team may end up drafting first in April. My record prediction, 2-15. The third seed, the New York Jets. The Jets had some solid to elite defenses this decade, but that's no longer the case. This will be their first full season without Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, but T'Vondre Sweat is quietly one of the best nose tackles in football, and they added several new starters, including Demario Davis, Nashawn Wright, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and drafted edge rusher David Bailey and corner D'Angelo Pons, joining already solid starters Will McDonald and Jamian Sherwood. Geno Smith is the Jets' new quarterback, and he was terrible last season in Las Vegas, but he is going into this season with better weapons. Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson are some of the best players at their positions. Adonai Mitchell has shown flashes as a solid receiver. Mason Taylor is a promising young tight end. Olu Fashanu and Armand Bembu are both solid tackles, and the Jets drafted pass catchers Omar Cooper to play in the slot, and tight end Kenyon Sadiq, a player I believe will be a top 5 player in the class. The Jets do have upside, but I don't trust Aaron Glenn at head coach, and I don't expect Geno to return to what he was with the Seahawks. My record prediction, 4-13. The second seed, the New England Patriots. The Patriots are coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Drake May became one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks, and he just got a new number 1 wideout in A.J. Brown, but the Pats are due for regression. They will be going from one of the easiest schedules to one of the hardest. A.J. Brown is not the only new addition to the Patriots offense. They also added Romeo Doubs to the receiving room and Elijah Vera Tucker on the offensive line, allowing Jared Wilson to return to his natural position at center. Will Campbell was not good during the Pats' playoff run, but he should be better moving forward, and Travion Henderson should get more carries. The Pats have talent on defense, but they don't have a truly dominant edge rusher. Harold Landry and Draymond Jones are both good players, but most of their pressure will come from Milton Williams and Christian Barmore on the interior. The best unit of this Pats defense is by far their secondary. Christian Gonzalez is a top 5 corner in football. Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones are both solid corners. Craig Woodson quietly had a great rookie season, and the Pats signed Kevin Byard after he turned back the clock last season. My record prediction, 9-8. And winning the AFC East will be the Buffalo Bills. Former offensive coordinator Joe Brady was promoted to head coach after consistently coaching top-tier offenses, and DJ Moore will be Josh Allen's new number 1 wideout, moving Khalil Shakir to wide receiver 2. With the strong tight end duo of Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, continuity on the offensive line with Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, and Connor McGovern returning, and James Cook coming off an efficient 1,600-yard season. This could be one of the best offenses the Bills had since Allen was drafted. Bradley Chubb will replace Joey Bosa on the edge, alongside Greg Russo. If Chubb can stay healthy, then this will be a solid pass rush unit, with Ed Oliver, and the player I believe will have the biggest breakout season, Deion Walker, on the inside. The Bills' run defense allowed 133 rushing yards per game, the 5th highest in the NFL last season, so they will need linebacker Terrell Bernard to return to form. The secondary added C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Geno Stone, giving the Bills flexibility at safety and nickel. My record prediction, 13-4. Moving on to the AFC North. In fourth place, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns may have the worst quarterback situation in the NFL right now. Deshaun Watson has not played a snap of football since 2024, and Shedeur Sanders is just terrible. To add insult to injury, they downgraded at head coach, going from Kevin Stefanski to former Ravens OC Todd Monken. On defense, the Browns finally let go of Myles Garrett and got Jared Verse in return. Verse is a very good player, but is coming off a sophomore slump. Second-year defensive tackle Mason Graham had a decent rookie year. The linebacker unit is anchored by Quincy Williams and Defensive Rookie of the Year Carson Schlesinger, though I would have given the award to Nick Emanwari. Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell are a solid duo at corner, and rookie safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren will be a steal. The offensive line was completely retooled, with rookie Spencer Fano and Titus Howard at tackle, Zion Johnson at guard, and Elgton Jenkins at center, but Howard is better as a guard than a tackle. Jenkins is coming off a lower leg fracture, and Johnson is inconsistent. The receiving room is okay, with Jerry Jeudy, rookies Denzel Boston and KC Concepcion, and second-year tight end Harold Fannin, and second-year running back Quinshawn Judkins had a good season before suffering from 2 major injuries. The Browns' QB situation may be rough, but looking at the upcoming draft class, this is one of the best years to need a quarterback. My record prediction, 3-14. The third seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers will play his final season in the NFL, albeit he said the same thing last year, and he's still here. Rico Dowdle joins Jaylen Warren in the backfield, and Michael Pittman joins DK Metcalf and Roman Wilson in the receiving room. The good news for the Steelers is that Mike Tomlin is no longer their head coach. The bad news is that Mike McCarthy is his replacement. And their best offensive lineman, Isaac Seumalo, is gone, but Zach Frazier is one of the NFL's better centers. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig will be able to get after the quarterback, and signing Jamel Dean and Jaquan Brisker gives the secondary a boost after the Steelers' pass defense was one of the worst in football last season. Joey Porter Jr. is great in coverage, but Jalen Ramsey's best days are behind him, and the linebacker unit is questionable. Overall, the Steelers are a painfully average team. My record prediction, 8-9. Number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals' offense didn't really change on paper. They still have their core 4 of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown. But to prevent another Burrow injury, the Bengals will need more from their offensive line. The only above-average player on that line is Dalton Risner, but they could possibly see an improvement from Dylan Fairchild and Amarius Mims. But this one move is why I feel the Bengals will improve this season. They've had bad defenses in the past few years, but this year will not be the case. They may have lost Trey Hendrickson, but they gained Dexter Lawrence, who has always been one of the most double-teamed players in the NFL. This will open up opportunities for other players to rush the passer, including Jonathan Allen, Boye Mafe, and Miles Murphy. Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter were 2 of the worst linebackers last season, and the secondary is shaky outside of DJ Turner and Brian Cook. But I believe Dexter makes the Bengals' defense that much better. My record prediction, 10-7. And winning the AFC North will be the Baltimore Ravens. The John Harbaugh era is finally over in Baltimore, and Zach Orr went with him. The Ravens now have Jesse Minter as their head coach, who coordinated top-tier defenses with the Chargers. The Ravens had bad pass defenses in the past 2 seasons. We all know about the Max Crosby trade not going through, but they were able to get Trey Hendrickson off the edge. Nnamdi Madubuike might be ready for Week 1 after he suffered what was believed to be a career-ending neck injury, but they may start the season without Travis Jones. Roquan Smith should have a bounce-back season, and Kyle Hamilton has been the best safety of the past 3 years and may already be one of the best of all time, and expect breakouts in the secondary from Nate Wiggins and Malachi Starks. Lamar Jackson had a slight down year, but a lot of it had to do with his mid-season hamstring injury, while Derrick Henry is coming off a nearly 1,600-yard season on over 5 yards per carry. The Ravens' offense will flourish under new OC Declan Doyle, who offers a more deceptive and motion-heavy scheme compared to Monken that will have Lamar lined up under center more often. The offensive line will miss Tyler Linderbaum, but they upgraded at both guards with John Simpson and rookie Vega Aone. Ronnie Stanley is still a good player, but needs to stay healthy, and Roger Rosengarten is a promising tackle. The receiving room is thin outside of Zay Flowers, but Jacoby Layne is one of the more underrated rookies and could be the team's X-receiver right away. My record prediction, 12-5. The AFC South. In last place, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts started off last season 8-2, then lost 7 of their last 8 games after Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, and they were only able to get 4 games out of Sauce Gardner before he suffered a calf strain. I can't lie, I don't see Jones continuing the level of play we saw last season. He was already starting to fall off in his last 5 starts before the injury. Alec Pierce will be the Colts' new number 1 wideout, with Michael Pittman now in Pittsburgh. Tyler Warren was elite as a rookie and may be a top 5 tight end this season. The offensive line is still one of the best in football, even though they lost Braden Smith. Second-year tackle Jalen Travis played over 300 snaps last season and was solid, and Jonathan Taylor came off a near 1,600-yard and 18-touchdown season. The Colts defense will have a full season of Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward as a duo after Ward suffered 3 concussions. DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart both experienced a decline in play, but they are still reliable inside. Laiatu Latu showed flashes of dominance off the edge, and Arden Key replaces Kwity Paye. But the linebacker unit of Akeem Davis-Gaither and rookie C.J. Allen leaves a lot to be desired. My record prediction, 6-11. The third seed, the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward showed flashes of being a really good quarterback last season, but he was in a terrible situation. Brian Dable becoming the Titans' offensive coordinator is the best thing that could have happened to him. Wan'Dale Robinson is the new wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. Calvin Ridley will be healthy, and tight end Gunnar Helm could break out with Chig Okonkwo now in Washington. The Titans drafted Carnell Tate, but I find that he was an overrated prospect. He's not a vertical threat in any way, and he was never the number 1 wideout at Ohio State. The Titans' offensive line outside of Peter Skoronski is, well, bad. Kevin Zeitler is no longer on the team, and Dan Moore is not living up to his contract. I don't expect the Devondre Sweat-Jermaine Johnson swap to age well for the Titans, but they did sign John Franklin Meyer, and Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best tackles in football. Cedric Gray had a solid season at linebacker, and will have rookie Anthony Hill Jr. lined up beside him, and the Titans signed 2 new corners, Alante Taylor and Cordell Flott. This defense still isn't great on paper, but new head coach Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive minds in football. My record prediction, 6-11. The second seed, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars had a high-powered offense in their first season under Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence finally lived up to the hype after playing for several incompetent Jaguars teams, and the Jags offense really took to the next level after they traded for Jacoby Myers. Brian Thomas Jr. had a sophomore slump, but he's too talented to not be good in year 3, and expect good seasons from Parker Washington and tight end Brenton Strange. The Jags are returning all 5 starters on an offensive line that wasn't that good, and they no longer have Travis Etienne, making combine darling Bashal Tutin as the RB1. Despite everything, the Jags offense will be elite. The defense, not so much. Devin Lloyd is a top 5 linebacker in the NFL, and losing a player of his caliber is never a good thing. And despite having Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, the Jags were near the bottom in sacks last season. That being said, the secondary will be good this year. Antonio Johnson had a quiet but excellent season, and Travis Hunter will be moving to corner full-time, which I support, as it's not sustainable to play both sides in the NFL full-time, and Travis is significantly better at corner than receiver. My record prediction, 9-8. And winning the AFC South, the Houston Texans. Every year it looks more and more like C.J. Stroud peaked in his rookie season. His accuracy has regressed and he can't play under pressure, which is crucial when the Texans' offensive line is as bad as it was. It should be better this season, with the additions of Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith, but that's not saying anything at all. The run game should improve after the Texans traded for David Montgomery. Nico Collins has been great these past few years. Tank Dell has looked promising in training camp after his horrific injury in 2024, and we may see a breakout from second-year wideout Jaden Higgins. But we all know the reason the Texans are great is not because of the offense, but because of the defense. Houston's defense was the best in the NFL last season, and I don't expect that to change. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are the best pass rush duo you could ask for, and they are able to steal nose tackle Caden McDonald in the second round. In addition to the best pass rush, the Texans also have the best secondary. Derek Stingley is the best cornerback not named Patrick Surtain, with Kamari Lassiter lined across from him, and Jalen Petrie as one of the best nickels in football, and not to mention Azeez Al-Shire and Henry To'o in the second level. My record prediction, 11-6. The AFC West. In last place, the Las Vegas Raiders. While they still have ways to go compared to their AFC West opponents, the Raiders should be one of the most improved teams this season. I'm expecting a complete transformation of the offense under new head coach Clint Kubiak. Looking at what he did as offensive coordinator for the Saints and Seahawks, the Raiders drafted quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the first pick, but he will be sitting behind Kirk Cousins to start the year. Kirk is still a decent QB and is playing in a more QB-friendly system compared to Atlanta. Ashton Genty didn't have a good year statistically, but most of his yards came after contact, and that's because the Raiders' offensive line was absolutely terrible. They're much better on paper now with the addition of Tyler Linderbaum and Colton Miller at full health, and they should be much better schematically, since the Seahawks O-line was much better under Kubiak, and Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football. Hate to sound like a broken record, but Kubiak's offense is significantly more tight end friendly compared to Chip Kelly's. The Raiders held on to Max Crosby after the trade to the Ravens fell through. He will now have Kwity Paye lined across from him, and Nakobe Dean in the second level, but the secondary is one of the worst units in football, aside from Eric Stokes. My record prediction, 5-12. The third seed, the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes' season was cut short after he tore his ACL, and the Chiefs missed the playoffs for the first time since he was drafted, but Mahomes recovered quickly and is on track to play Week 1, and the Chiefs brought back Eric Bieniemy at offensive coordinator. The Chiefs' offense was far more explosive under Bieniemy than it was under Matt Nagy. The receiving room still isn't great. Travis Kelce's best days are far behind him, and their best wideout is Tyquan Thornton. But Kenneth Walker is coming off a Super Bowl MVP performance and is the best running back the Chiefs have ever had since Kareem Hunt, making Mahomes' job much easier. Creed Humphrey is the best center in the NFL, Josh Simmons is solid in pass protection, and the Chiefs let go of Jawan Taylor, one of the most penalized players in the NFL. The Chiefs' secondary will look a lot different after trading Trent McDuffie and losing Jalen Watson and Brian Cook. Rookie Mansour Layne and second-year Noel Williams are the new starting corners, with Kader Kohou at nickel, with Alohi Gilman replacing Cook at safety. Chris Jones is still a dominant pass rusher, but has declined as a run stopper. But George Karlaftis is improving as a pass rusher, and the Chiefs have continuity in the linebacker room, with Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill. My record prediction, 10-7. The second seed, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos were one possession away from making the Super Bowl, but that sums up their season in a nutshell. 11 out of 14 of the Broncos' wins were one-score games, including against the Jets, Giants, both wins against the Raiders, and against the Chiefs' backups. The Broncos are bringing back all but one starter from last season, and their defense was one of the best in the NFL, and I don't expect that to change. Patrick Surtain is the best corner in football. Talanoa Hufanga and Brandon Jones are one of the best safety duos. Nick Benito, Zach Allen, and Jonathan Cooper form a dangerous pass rush, and Alex Singleton headlines the second level. Jalen Waddle is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. The only problem is, Bo Nix is not a good deep ball passer. Nix is the most overrated quarterback in football. He throws at a high volume due to a lack of a run game for the Broncos, and his volume does not translate to efficiency, especially beyond 15 yards. Waddle's presence will open up opportunities for Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin. The Broncos' offensive line is by far the best in football, and newly promoted OC Davis Webb is projected to be the next offensive guru, and he's been with the team since 2023. My record prediction, 10-7. And just narrowly winning the AFC West will be the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback in football and is one of the best QBs of the last decade, and is going into this season in the best situation since he was drafted. The Chargers had the worst offensive line last year, with Rashawn Slater missing the entire season and Joe Alt missing all but 3 games, but they will both be healthy and now have Tyler Biadasz at center. Omarion Hampton missed a chunk of his rookie season due to an ankle injury, but he showed flashes of being a great running back. The Chargers have a young receiving room with Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, and tight end Aronde Gadsden. plus David Njoku. But best of all, Mike McDaniel is the new offensive coordinator. That alone is why I believe Justin Herbert will be in MVP conversations. The defense will miss Jesse Minter, but they are still a well-rounded unit. They still have Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu coming off the edge, and now have Dalvin Tomlinson inside. Dan Henley is an excellent off-ball linebacker, and Derwin James can play everywhere in the secondary. My record prediction, 11-6. Moving on to the NFC. In last place in the NFC East, the New York Giants. John Harbaugh is the most hyped-up head coaching hire of the offseason, but here's the thing. Harbaugh is a CEO head coach, and when you hire a CEO head coach, you need two good coordinators. Unfortunately, one of Harbaugh's new coordinators is Matt Nagy. Jackson Dart had a decent rookie season, but Cam Skattebo is coming off a serious ankle fracture, and frankly, Skattebo's high-contact running style is a recipe for a short NFL career. Malik Neighbors is coming back from a torn ACL, but the wide receiver depth is razor-thin outside of him, with the wide receiver 2 being Darius Slayton. Isaiah Likely came from the Ravens with Harbaugh, and they also have Theo Johnson, but Nagy doesn't like to use heavy personnel sets. Aside from Andrew Thomas, one of the most injury-prone players in the NFL, the Giants have a bad offensive line. Rookie Francis Mauigoa could make this unit salvageable, but it all depends on Thomas's health. The Giants had one of the worst run defenses last season, and that was with a full season of Dexter Lawrence. DJ Reader is a good player, but he's not Dexter. Brian Burns and Abdul Carter are a great edge duo. Carter didn't have a lot of sacks last season, but he did have 66 pressures. Arvel Reese is better as an edge rusher than he is off the ball, but he won't get a lot of pass rush snaps in year one with Burns and Carter, and the secondary is not good. My record prediction, 5-12. Number 3, the Washington Commanders. Laramie Tunsil is expected to miss most of the season. If that's the case, then the Commanders' offensive line is in a lot of trouble, as they also cut Tyler Biadasz, but they will have a full season with Sam Cosmi. Jaden Daniels missed 7 games last season, but we know he can be an elite quarterback and carry a team on his back, and Jaden has some new weapons this season. Rashad White forms a 1-2 punch behind Bill Krosky-Merritt. Stephon Diggs can still be a productive receiver alongside Terry McLaurin, and they have Chig Okonkwo at tight end. But most importantly, the offense is no longer run by Cliff Kingsbury and is predictable, college-style play calling. The defense leaves a lot to be desired. They ranked bottom 5 in both run and pass defense last season, and aside from Odafe Owe off the edge and Leo Chanel in the second level, none of the Commanders' signings are moving the needle. Sonny Styles, however, had a record-breaking combine, is exceptional in coverage and run defense, and will be the best rookie in this class. My record prediction, 8-9. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. With A.J. Brown now on the Patriots, Devontae Smith will be the Eagles' wide receiver 1 for the first time since his rookie season. The wide receiver 2 position will be fought between Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, and rookie Mekhi Lemon. The Eagles' offensive line is still one of the best in football. Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson are the best tackle duo in the NFL, with Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and Tyler Steen inside. Saquon Barkley had a down year following his 2,000-yard season in 2024, but former offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo is partly at fault. Sean Mannion takes over at OC and will implement a more modern offense with more under-center snaps, play action, and motion plays, and Jalen Hurts is coming off his worst passing season. The Eagles' defense is still great, with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Ajomo inside, Jonathan Grenard at edge, Zach Bond and future superstar Jahad Campbell in the second level, and a top 5 corner Quinyon Mitchell outside, and the best nickel corner Cooper DeJean. The way I'm talking about the Eagles, they should be the division winner, but because of Jalen Hurts, the lack of depth at wide receiver, and the fact that I have no faith in Nick Sirianni, they'll have to settle for second. My record prediction, 10-7. And winning the NFC East will be the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense was historically bad in the first half of last season, but trading for Quinnen Williams completely transformed this unit, especially against the run. They went from the 28th ranked run defense to the 1st, and Williams' presence opened up opportunities for other pass rushers. This will be the first full year with Williams. The Cowboys signed Rashad Gary, who will reunite with Kenny Clark, and they signed Jalen Thompson at safety and drafted Caleb Downs, who is the best safety prospect since Kyle Hamilton and should be one of the best safeties right away. The defense still isn't perfect, as the cornerback room is really bad, but having Williams makes this unit that much better. The Cowboys' offense is elite. Dak Prescott is still a really good quarterback, Javonte Williams is coming off an efficient 1,200-yard season, and the Cowboys have the best receiving duo in football with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, plus Jake Ferguson at tight end. The interior offensive line is really good, with Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker, and Cooper Beebe, but they need more from their tackles. My record prediction, 11-6. The NFC North, starting with the 4th seed, the Green Bay Packers. When the Packers are fully healthy, I believe they are a Super Bowl contender, but they will start the season without Micah Parsons, and they traded Rashad Gary to Dallas, so they don't have a lot of talent in the front seven, aside from linebacker Edgerrin Cooper. The secondary will be fine. Keyshawn Nixon had 13 pass breakups last season, and the safety duo of Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams is elite. Jordan Love is coming off his best season, and for the first time in his career, he had an elite pass catcher. Tucker Kraft only played 8 games last season, but when he's on the field, he's a top 5 tight end. And Josh Jacobs is one of the best runners after contact, but the wide receiver room of Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, and Jaden Reed is unintriguing, and the offensive line lost Rasheed Walker and Elgton Jenkins. Zach Tom, now known as Zach Bako Bawele, cannot carry this line by himself. Spoiler alert, the NFC North is the strongest division in football, and the Packers would not be the 4th seed if they were in any other division. My record prediction, 9-8. The 3rd seed, the Detroit Lions. The Lions are now on their 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. They let go of John Morton, but replacing him with Drew Petzing is not exactly an upgrade. Regardless, the Lions' offense is still loaded with talent. Jared Goff is a serviceable quarterback. Jahmyr Gibbs will have 3-down opportunities, with David Montgomery now in Houston. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta may be the strongest receiving room in football, and second-year wideout Isaac Tesla flashed impressive contested catchability. Penei Sewell will move to the left side of the offensive line after Taylor Decker was released. Tate Ratledge had a solid rookie season at guard, and Cade Mays replaces Graham Glasgow at center. The Lions may have downgraded at OC, but they upgraded at DC with Kelvin Shepard, as the Lions had one of the better defenses last season. Aiden Hutchinson is elite off the edge, Aleem McNeil will be fully healthy inside, and Jack Campbell had an excellent season at linebacker. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are both expected to miss time, but when they are healthy, they are the best safety duo in football. DJ Reed is a solid corner, but Rock Ya-Sin is a weakness at CB2. My record prediction? 11-6. The 2nd seed, the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy was the worst quarterback in football last year. His efficiency was on par with Jamarcus Russell. Despite that, the Vikings won 9 games. Their offense should be a lot better this year with Kyler Murray. When Kyler is at his best, he is in MVP conversations, and now he's going from one of the worst situations to one of the best. Justin Jefferson had a down year in terms of production, but let's be real. Even Jerry Rice would have a down year if McCarthy was throwing him the ball. The Vikings also have Jordan Addison, Jawan Jennings, TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones in the backfield. Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill each played under 800 snaps last season, but when healthy, Darrisaw is one of the best tackles in the NFL, and Blake Brandale will take over at center after Ryan Kelly retired. When healthy, this is one of the best offensive lines in football. Brian Flores is a defensive guru. Despite Jonathan Grenard leaving for the Eagles, the Vikings defense will be sneaky good, with Andrew Van Ginkel off the edge, rookie Caleb Banks inside, Blake Cashman in the second level, and Isaiah Rodgers at corner. No team blitzed more than the Vikings last season. My record prediction? 11-6. And winning the NFC North, the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson is an offensive mastermind, and Caleb Williams is a superstar. The Bears traded DJ Moore to Buffalo, but I don't expect the offense to regress, since Moore was not the number 1 target last season. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden are both promising young wideouts. Colston Loveland is already one of the best tight ends in football, and they still have Cole Kmet right behind him. Drew Dahlman retired, but the Bears still have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. Both Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones improved drastically last season. Joe Tooney just came off a Protector of the Year season, and Jonah Jackson was consistent in pass protection across from Tooney. The Bears' pass rush is still a weakness. They only had 35 sacks last season, and their only reliable pass rusher is Montez Sweat. The Bears replaced Tremaine Edmonds with Devin Bush, who completely turned his career around. Bush was elite in coverage and great against the run, and he still has TJ Edwards lined up beside him. The secondary took a major hit after Kevin Byard signed with the Patriots, and newly signed Kobe Bryant may be out for the season, but Jalen Johnson is still one of the better corners in football, and they drafted Dylan Feeneman. My record prediction, 12-5. The NFC South. In last place, the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shuck had the best rookie season out of any quarterback, but that's not saying anything at all. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not on the Shuck hype train. He mostly played below average defenses, and his big-time throw rate was under 4%. Travis Etienne joins Alvin Kamara in the backfield. Chris Olave is one of the NFL's better receivers when healthy. Juwan Johnson is coming off his most productive season, and I believe Jordan Tyson will be the best receiver in the class. The left side of the Saints' offensive line is looking good. Calvin Banks was the best rookie tackle last season. They signed David Edwards at guard, and Eric McCoy is one of the better centers in football. But I can't say the same for the right side of the line. Chase Young certainly hasn't lived up to his draft hype, but he is a very good player, and there are very few difference makers on the Saints' defense. Cameron Jordan is in his twilight years, and Demario Davis is now with the Jets. They did sign Caden Ellis, who is one of the best pass-rushing linebackers, and Kool-Aid McKinstry took a leap in his second season. My record prediction, 6-11. Number 3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are entering their first season without Mike Evans in 12 seasons, who was limited to 8 games last year. This means that Emeka Egbuka will be the full-time wide receiver 1. Chris Godwin hasn't played a full season since 2023. Jalen McMillan was limited to 4 games. Bucky Irving had an inefficient second season, rushing for just over 3 yards per carry, and Baker Mayfield is a serviceable but turnover-prone quarterback. The only real highlight of this Bucs offense is the offensive line, with Tristan Wirfs and Luke Godicki at tackles, Cody Mock at guard, and Graham Barton at center. Zach Robinson takes over at OC, but he was unimpressive in Atlanta. The Bucs defense is experiencing a lot of turnover. Levante David retired, and his replacements are Alex Anzalone and second-round rookie Josiah Trotter, and Jamel Dean left for Pittsburgh. Star nose tackle Vita Vea requested a trade, and at the time of this recording, he has not been traded yet. But if the Bucs do trade him, their best interior player will be A'Shawn Robinson. The Bucs have a solid rotation at edge rusher, with Yaya Diaby, Al-Qadin Muhammad, and rookie Reuben Bain, and Antoine Winfield is one of the best safeties in football. My record prediction, 7-10. Number 2. The Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have an excellent group of offensive playmakers. Bijan Robinson is the best running back in football and provides value as a receiver. Drake London is a top 5 wideout in the NFL, and Kyle Pitts is coming off his best season. The offensive line is solid. Jake Matthews is consistent in pass protection. Chris Lindstrom is the best run blocker in football. Matthew Bergeron was quietly consistent last season, and Ryan Newsel was solid in his first season as a starter, but the quarterback situation is undesirable. Whether Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix gets the starting job, the QB position will hold this team back. The Falcons' defense had the second most sacks last season, but I don't expect that to continue. James Pierce will be suspended for 8 games, Jalen Walker is out for the year, and Caden Ellis is now on the Saints. The Falcons may have the worst front 7 in football. The only high-impact player in this unit is linebacker Davine Diablo, who excelled in coverage. But the secondary is good. A.J. Terrell had a down season, but he is still a shutdown corner, and Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts are a solid safety duo. The Falcons could easily be a playoff team under Kevin Stefanski, but the quarterback situation and the front 7 brings them down. My record prediction, 8-9. And winning the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers just barely won their division last year, but now they're a lot better. They invested heavily in their defense, adding Jalen Phillips to a defensive line that already has Derek Brown and Devin Lloyd, one of the best linebackers in football. The cornerback room is underrated, with J.C. Horn and arguably the Panthers' best defender last year in Mike Jackson. Bryce Young is coming off the best season of his career with a strong finish. Second-year receiver Tetairoa McMillan quickly became Bryce's favorite target, and they have another underrated wideout in Jalen Coker. Ike Ekwonu and Taylor Morton will both miss the start of the season, leaving Rasheed Walker and rookie Monroe Freeling as the starting tackles for at least the first few weeks, but the interior offensive line is solid, with Damian Lewis, Luke Fortner, and Robert Hunt. The NFC South is the weakest division in football, and the Panthers are the only team that is significantly better than they were last season. My record prediction? 10-7. And finally, the NFC West, starting with the 4th seed, the Arizona Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett took the keys from Kyler Murray last season, but can he maintain a decent level of play for a full season? My guess is no. The Cardinals also drafted Carson Beck in the 3rd round. Even though he had a great Hall of Fame game, there's a good chance he's not the franchise QB. The Cardinals have a talented group of offensive playmakers. Jeremiah Love will have to split carries with James Conner and Tyler Algier, but I can guarantee he will be the free down back by October. Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't had a productive first 2 years, but that can be attributed to Drew Petzing's run-heavy, multiple tight end scheme. He will be playing in a more wide receiver-friendly offense under new head coach Mike LaFleur, and they still have Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. The offensive line has improved, with Isaac Siamalau now at left guard, and Paris Johnson and Yelda Froholt are both solid players. Then there's the defense. Walter Nolan showed flashes inside, but they have very limited pass rush depth outside of Josh Sweat. The linebackers are not good. Will Johnson had an okay rookie season and should improve in year 2. Garrett Williams is a really good slot corner, and Budda Baker declined in coverage. The Cardinals will be contending for the first pick. My record prediction? 2-15. The 3rd seed, the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners won 12 games last season despite multiple injuries to key players, including Nick Bosa and Fred Warner missing most of the season, and George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Michael Williams missing multiple games. But the injury bug has struck again. Ricky Pearsall will be out for the year. Kittle tore his ACL in the wildcard game, but he is expected to be ready for Week 1. And newly signed Mike Evans was dealing with injuries at training camp after only playing 8 games last year. Christian McCaffrey had an inefficient rushing season, but he had over 2,100 all-purpose yards. Trent Williams is still a great tackle despite going into his age 38 season, and Dominic Pooney is one of the better young guards. The Niners lost Jawan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne, and it's safe to say Brandon Ayuk is not coming back, after missing all of last season. Aside from Evans, the new receiving room consists of Deebo Samuel, second-round rookie Dazon Stripling, and of course, CMC and Kittle. Bosa and Warner will be fully healthy going into this season. Warner is the best linebacker of the 2020s, and Bosa is a top 5 edge rusher in football. And the Niners traded for Oza Odigizua on the inside and brought back Dre Greenlaw. But the secondary is a weakness. My record prediction? 9-8. Number 2, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks won Super Bowl 60 largely because of their defense. DeMarcus Lawrence turned back the clock. Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy are a strong tackle duo. Ernest Jones is one of the better linebackers in football. Devon Witherspoon is an elite and versatile corner who can play both outside and in the slot. Julian Love excels in coverage, and Nick Emanwari had the best rookie season and elevated his game in the playoffs. Jackson Smith and Jigba had nearly 1,800 yards, caught 10 touchdown passes, and won Offensive Player of the Year, but the Seahawks offense really took a leap after trading for Rashid Shaheed. All 5 starters return on the offensive line. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas are both solid tackles, and Gray Zabel had a solid rookie year. Plus, tight end A.J. Barner was a positive run blocker and receiving threat. My biggest concern for the Seahawks, losing Clint Kubiak as offensive coordinator, and Kenneth Walker after he won Super Bowl MVP. The Seahawks run game will consist of Zach Charbonnet, who is coming off a torn ACL, and Jadarian Price, who was drafted way too early. And Sam Darnold is serviceable, but not a franchise quarterback. My record prediction? 12-5. And winning the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams lost the NFC Championship in the worst way possible, after a muffed punt led to an extra possession and touchdown for the Seahawks, but the Rams went all in on the offseason. I'm still not happy we drafted Ty Simpson with the 13th pick, but we swapped out Jared Verse for Myles Garrett after he won Defensive Player of the Year and broke the single-season sack record. And we turned one of the worst cornerback rooms into one of the best, trading for Trent McDuffie, a top 5 corner, and signing Jalen Watson, a top 15 corner. The safety duo of Cam Kitchens and Cam Curl is underrated, and Quinton Lake is a solid nickel. Nate Landman was a free agency steal at linebacker, and Garrett's presence will open up pass rush opportunities for players like Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Poona Ford, and Braden Fisk. And while it's not confirmed at the time of this recording, Aaron Donald may come out of retirement. If he does, he'll probably start slow since he hasn't played football in 2 years, but by the end, this could become the most dangerous pass rush not just this season, but one of the best of all time. And what more can be said about the Rams offense? Matthew Stafford came off his best season at age 37 and shows no sign of slowing down. Puka Nacua is the best receiver in football. Davante Adams is still going strong at age 33. The offensive line is a strong unit with Alaric Jackson protecting the blind side, Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson at guard, and Coleman Shelton. But most notably, Sean McVay implemented 13 personnel sets into his offense, and when the Rams had free tight ends on the field, they were unstoppable. Second-year tight end Terrence Ferguson showed flashes as an explosive pass catcher with strong contested catch ability and run-blocking upside. My record prediction, 15-2. So that means that in the 2027 NFL playoffs, the Bills will have a first-round bye in the AFC, followed by the Ravens, Chargers, Texans, Broncos, Chiefs, and Bengals. And in the NFC, the Rams will have a first-round bye, followed by the Bears, Cowboys, Panthers, Seahawks, Vikings, and Lions. So starting off with the first round of the playoffs, we got 2 divisional matchups in the AFC wildcard. We got the Ravens beating the Bengals, and the Chargers beating the Chiefs. Yes, I know, the playoff Chiefs, but I believe the Chargers are going to have a more explosive offense this year. And I got the Broncos beating the Texans. Both these teams have strong defenses, but the Broncos can do one thing that the Texans can't, and that is protect their quarterback. Now, the NFC side, I got the Bears beating the Lions, and our first major upset of this bracket, I got the Vikings beating the Cowboys. Neither Dak or Kyler are good playoff performers, but the Vikings are a better coach team, and the Vikings wide receivers will shred the Cowboys secondary. And I got the Seahawks beating the Panthers pretty easily. The Panthers beat the Rams in the regular season last year and almost beat them in the playoffs. However, the Seahawks do not have a bad cornerback room for the Panthers to take advantage of. Moving on to the second round, where I got the Bills getting revenge on the Broncos at the first home playoff game at New Highmark Stadium. Then I got the Ravens beating the Chargers, the Rams beating the Vikings, and the Seahawks beating the Bears. Now, I did say I don't think the Seahawks offense will be what it was last year, but the Bears don't have a great pass rush, so I think the Seahawks can take advantage of that. And the conference championships, these might be the 2 best possible conference championship matchups you could have asked for. I do got the Bills beating the Ravens. Now, for the Rams and Seahawks, if you're a neutral fan, you probably think that either the regular season game in Seattle or the NFC Conference Championship game was the game of the year. But as a Rams fan, I disagree. But I do think the Rams will get their revenge this time around and go to the Super Bowl. And now for Super Bowl 61 between the Rams and the Bills. Once again, the Rams have home field advantage in the Super Bowl, and we got a rematch of the offensive shootout game back in late 2024 that I was at, and it was awesome. And this time around, I believe the Rams will be this year's Super Bowl champion, with Matthew Stafford as Super Bowl MVP. And we are going to finish off this video by predicting the awards. Starting with Offensive Player of the Year, I got Puka Nacua. Puka led the NFL in receptions last season with over 1,700 yards and 10 touchdowns, despite splitting targets between Davante Adams and several tight ends. Like I said earlier, Puka is the best all-around receiver in football. He has elite hands, he's an elite contested catcher, and he's great after the catch. Defensive Player of the Year, Will Anderson Jr. I could easily see Myles Garrett winning back-to-back depoys, but voter fatigue is real, so I'm picking the best defensive player on the best defense. Anderson had a pressure rate of 19.5%, second only to Micah Parsons, while leading the NFL in pressures under 3 seconds, the best pass rush win rate at just over 33%, and having the elite ability to convert speed into power. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jeremiah Love. Like I said earlier, the Cardinals will have a running back committee of Love, James Conner, and Tyler Algier, but I don't expect it to last. Love is the best running back prospect we've seen since Saquon Barkley, and has a rare combination of speed, vision, and explosiveness. Love averaged nearly 7 yards per carry in his last 2 seasons at Notre Dame. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sonny Styles. I believe Styles will be the best player in this class. He tested off the charts at the Combine and can line up anywhere on the field. Styles played safety in his first 2 seasons at Ohio State, so he has natural coverage instincts, is an elite tackler, and has high football IQ. Carson Schlesinger won last year's award, and I believe Styles will have an even better season and become one of the best linebackers in the NFL out of the gate. Comeback Player of the Year, Kyler Murray. Murray only played 5 games for the Cardinals last season, and by the time he was ready to come back, he was benched in favor of Jacoby Brissett. The NFL has given the award to quarterbacks that went into better situations and improved their production in the past, like Ryan Tannehill, Geno Smith, and Joe Flacco. But Kyler is more talented than all of them, and has played at an MVP level before. Protector of the Year, Joe Alt. Alt was able to anchor the Chargers' offensive line last year without Rashawn Slater, but when he re-injured his right ankle, the Chargers' line was the worst in the NFL. When Alt was on the field last season, he was the best tackle not named Penei Sewell. His technical ability and leverage are immaculate for his size, and the Chargers' O-line will be a lot better with both Alt and Slater back. Coach of the Year, Jesse Minter. Minter coordinated elite defenses in both of his seasons with the Chargers. Now he will be taking over play-calling duties for the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense struggled last season, especially against the pass, but they will be one of the better units this year. And finally, the MVP, Caleb Williams. Caleb had nearly 40 big-time throws last season and led the Bears to 6 fourth-quarter comebacks. He's always been one of the best quarterbacks out of structure, and last year he's shown improvements within structure. This year, I believe Caleb becomes one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. And that concludes today's video. Let me know what your predictions look like in the comments below.